Good morning. Wouldn't it be something if all this was just an elaborate sting operation to collect your outstanding care slips? What an operation. Good morning and welcome on this Monday, the 17th of May, to celebrate the accomplishments of the graduating class of 2010 of the Columbia University College of Dental Medicine. Those challenges that seemed so daunting, perhaps still do, are fading into the past. But this is not your last battle. This just gets you into the fray. A lot of challenges are coming. But in the years to come, remember, whatever difficulties intrude in your lives, whatever your problems are in your practices, the Columbia education will always be there to stand between you and mediocrity. Never forget that. Our education here should give you the confidence to move forward under any circumstances. We know that you will continue to grow intellectually, technically, and morally every day of your lives. That is our hope for you. And like the surrogate parents that we are, that is what we expect. Know that you will succeed. The more you will succeed, the more you will be challenged. But due to your diligence, your intelligence, your perseverance, and assisted by the irritatingly persistent nature of our faculty, you have successfully negotiated the most rigorous curriculum of any dental school anywhere. They are a resilient bunch of students. As much as I've tried, I have not been able to beat them down. It's very disappointing to me. Well, you have become professionals. We are very, very proud of you, all of you. You've earned the right to be called doctor and colleague, and you deserve a serious round of applause. We have to take a moment, of course, to recognize those in the audience or elsewhere who have supported you throughout these 4 years. Financially, emotionally, with love and understanding, often at great personal sacrifice. The parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, in-laws, spouses, assorted relatives and friends who have been so important in your lives. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Keeping with tradition, we'd like to recognize our great support staff, the secretaries, assistants, module personnel, and administrators, who, by doing a terrific job every day, have kept our school afloat. Without them, we could not exist. You guys. And a very special thanks to Melissa Welsh and Alexander Schwartzstein, to whom we are grateful for so many wonderful events, including these graduation ceremonies. Melissa, Alex. Finally, you may be wondering who these people are behind me. I have no idea. We'd be remiss if we didn't salute our wonderful faculty, and these people behind me represent that wonderful faculty. Permit me while I introduce them to you. In the front row, from your left to my right, Dr. Alan J. Formicola, former Dean of the College of Dental Medicine and Vice Dean of the Center for Community Health Partnerships. Dr. Louis Mandel, Assistant Dean for Extramural Hospital Programs. Dr. Letty Moss-Salentine, Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. Mr. Frank Brightwell, our honored guest. Dr. Lee Goldman, Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences and Medicine. Dr. Ira B. Lamster, our Dean. Across the aisle, Dr. Martin Davis, Associate Dean for Student and Alumni Affairs. Dr. Margot Jaffe, President of the Association of Dental Alumni. Dr. Janelle Davis, Columbia University Chaplain. Dr. Ron Myers, Vice Dean for Clinical Affairs. Dr. Sarah Patterson, Associate Dean for Financial Affairs. In the back row, from your left, my right, Dr. Marlene Clivert, Assistant Dean for Special Projects. Dr. John Gerbic, Director of the Division of Oral Biology. Dr. Christos Angelopoulos, Director of the Division of Oral and Maxillofacial Radiology. Dr. George S. White, Director of the Division of Prosthodontics. Dr. Thomas J. Cangelosi, Director of the Division of Orthodontics and Chairman of the Section of Growth and Development. Dr. Joseph McManus, our Dean for Admissions. Across the aisle, Dr. Charles Solomon, Director of the Division of Endodontics. Dr. Stephen Chussett, Director of the Division of Pediatric Dentistry. Dr. Burton Adelstein, Chairman of the Section of Social and Behavioral Sciences. Dr. Dana Wolf, Director of the Predoctoral Program in Periodontics. Dr. Dennis Mitchell, Associate Dean for Diversity and Multicultural Affairs, and Dr. Stephen Marshall, Assistant Dean for Extramural Programs. I bring you greetings from a faculty member who has been very close to your hearts, and you to hers, Dr. Vicky Evangelides, who cannot be with us today. She sends you her love, she sends you her congratulations, and she sends you certainly her best wishes for the coming years. Dr. Evangelides. There are other faculty here who are intimately associated with your education in the third and fourth years. Dr. Norman Fader, Dr. Jessica Hilberg, Dr. Lou Rubens, Dr. Catherine Tamari, Dr. Jeffrey Pomerantz, Dr. Mark Mikalowicz, Dr. Stephen Singer, Mary Lee Cordes, Dr. Ira Rosner, Dr. Michelle Mirsky, and Dr. Mark Tenner. Dr. Hochstein's here too. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Janelle Davis, who is the Columbia University chaplain and director of the Earl Hall Center, where she oversees the Office of University Chaplains, Community Impact, and the campus ministries. It's my pleasure every time to introduce Dr. Janelle Davis to deliver the invocation. Dr. Davis.
Congratulations, 2010 graduates. As dentists, you will be trusted doctors. You will be sought out at ungodly hours for emergency treatment and pain relief. You will be counted on for the management of oral health and quality of life treatments. In your communities of care, you will be the first doctor that will diagnose many treatable systemic and chronic illnesses. Your work will help to close gaps in healthcare access and will be an essential component of preventative healthcare. While words of gratitude will all too often be unspoken, know that your work will support the daily health, well-being, and dignity of your patients. May each of you have the stamina, courage, and the humility to be humane partners in health. May you be blessed with wisdom, good humor, and a peaceful spirit. May it be so. May it be so with God's help. Amen.
If you notice, I'm not wearing a hood. My hood was recalled this morning. I never handed in my Class 3 skill assessment. So I'm going to do that next week. I promise. I promise. One of the reasons that I like to do this every year is because I get to introduce Dr. Lee Goldman. Dr. Goldman is the Harold and Margaret Hatch Professor of Medicine in the College of Physicians and Surgeons. He's the Professor of Epidemiology in the Mailman School of Public Health. He is the Executive Vice President for the Health Science and Biomedical Sciences and the Dean of the Faculties of the Health Sciences and Medicine. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, he also is a crossing guard on 165th Street and Fort Washington Avenue. Dr. Goldman.
It is a good time to have an extra job. Whenever I'm asked to give brief remarks, I can't help but think of Abraham Lincoln at Gettysburg, because probably no one else in the history, certainly of the US, had quite such an impact in a speech of about 2 minutes. We all remember he started off with the memorable 77 years ago, and ended with the quote, "Of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth." But the real gist of his remarks, which was at least apocryphally on the back of an envelope, said that no one would really remember anything he said. He was there to consecrate a battlefield, cemetery, and he thought that people would remember the heroism of people who fought and died at Gettysburg rather than anything he said, or anybody else would say. Now, it turned out Lincoln wasn't right about himself, but he was right about the second speaker. The second speaker, and some of you may know this, was Edward Everett. He had been governor of Massachusetts. He spoke for more than 2 hours. No one remembers anything he said. Our featured speaker today is going to be more like Lincoln than like Edward Everett. Let me just say that it may seem as though you started your education here 77 years ago, but it really has not been quite that long. We also know that the skills that you've learned here for the people will not only make them less likely to perish, but more likely to lead happy, productive, and rewarding lives. And although what I say today will quickly be forgotten, the world will long benefit from your knowledge, your professionalism, and your dedication. So it's my pleasure to join here today with the faculty, the administration, your family and friends, to wish you all the best and to welcome you to one of the healing professions. Congratulations.
It's tough to be the boss. I've always said that. It's tough to be the leader, and it gets tougher every day. I've said that our dean needs the decisiveness of Napoleon and the compassion of Mother Teresa, and he's taller than both of them. He has an aura of wisdom that we all respect. It was our dean who told me recently that I should learn from the mistakes of others because I couldn't possibly live long enough to make them all myself, but I try. It is written that a good leader has 6 defined qualities. Our dean has these: honesty, responsibility, confidence, enthusiasm, and reliability. It's my great pleasure to introduce the Dean of the College of Dental Medicine, Dr. Ira B. Lamster.
Good morning. I'm a little overwhelmed by that introduction, and it happens once a year, and this is the day. Good morning. This truly is a glorious day outside and a glorious day inside as well. It really is a distinct pleasure for me to welcome the Columbia University College of Dental Medicine class of 2010, their family and friends, to this graduation ceremony. This day is memorable for all of you, as this ceremony and the university graduation to be held tomorrow mark the completion of a rigorous 4 years of study. First, let me tell you something about the class of 2010. When the class entered in the fall of 2006, they came with a mean entry criteria that placed them in the top 3% of all applicants in the United States, and as a class, they ranked second of 56 dental schools in terms of admissions criteria. These are numbers that they've heard me say before. But I think a better measure of this class is indicated by the fact that many have traveled to provide oral health care services throughout the world, and many have been active participants in research and other extracurricular activities that include dental student organizations, provision of dental services to patients in underserved communities, and recruitment of underrepresented minorities in high school and college to careers in the health professions. Following graduation, members of the class of 2010 will attend some of the most sought-after and prestigious postdoctoral and residency programs in the United States. At a time like this, one reflects on the past. And each year, as I do at this time, I want to read a passage from an important historical document presented in May 1916 by a committee composed of faculty from the College of Physicians and Surgeons here at Columbia and prominent dental practitioners in New York. This led to the founding of the dental school in 1917. The document was titled, "A Dental School on University Lines." And let me quote, "The trustees and the Faculty of Medicine of Columbia University have, by formal vote, approved the establishment of a School of Dentistry. It is proposed to make the dental course at Columbia one of 4 years, the first part of which is to be identical with and part of the medical course. A dental dispensary providing free treatment to the poor and opportunities for clinical experience for the students will be one of the features of the new school. Another feature will be special research in dental science. With the medical course as a foundation, the new school will graduate better and more scientifically trained dentists." This is the 94th anniversary of the founding of the College of Dental Medicine, and our school remains true to the original principles on which it was founded. This year, we introduced a new curriculum that will be the most innovative of any in the United States. This curriculum will continue to be built around 3 guiding concepts that have guided us really for the last 30 years. The first part of the curriculum, that part which represents training in biomedical sciences, is to be taken with medical students as it has in the past. This provides a superb foundation for these graduates. Second, while not generally required by our profession, we place an emphasis on the need for postdoctoral training, and 98% of this class will go on for additional training. Third, we place an importance on dual degrees, and we have joint programs with public health, business, and education, and members of this class, who you'll hear about today, have taken advantage of that opportunity. As for the future, the class of 2010 enters the profession at a very challenging time. And in thinking about that remark, I think that's probably something that every single speaker at graduation says. But let me give you an indication of why I think it's true for our profession. First, it is generally acknowledged that there is a shortage of dentists in the United States. And in this country, there is now 1 dentist for about every 2,200 people. For comparison, this country is considered to have a shortage of physicians. With 1 physician, this includes both medical doctors and doctors of osteopathy, for every 350 people. While medicine has, for the most part, responded by increasing the class sizes at medical schools, the response to this shortage of dentists has been the opening of new dental schools. In the past 6 years, 5 new schools have been established and others are planned. The new schools are affiliated, in general, albeit loosely, with osteopathic but not allopathic medical schools. These schools place an emphasis on clinical training with limited emphasis on biomedical science. This is a very disturbing trend. In addition, the profession is faced with other important questions, including the use of mid-level providers to improve access to care, and the adoption of new diagnostic and treatment paradigms that are being developed with a focus on prevention and early detection of disease. In addition, many are now asking, how will we define a dental practitioner in the future? How does the dental practitioner of the future become fully integrated into the healthcare system? And I think Janelle Davis addressed that in her remarks. These are just some of the issues that will be faced by the class of 2010. To our graduates, I urge you to remain in contact with the college. Some of you will continue your training here at Columbia. Others will attend programs elsewhere in New York City, in the Northeast, or across the country. Your experiences here, however, will define you in many ways. It is important for you and for us that you remain part of the College of Dental Medicine. In closing, allow me to express personally and on behalf of the faculty and staff, the college and the university, our sincerest congratulations and our very best wishes for a very successful future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lamster. Our next guest is Dr. Margot H. Jaffe, who earned her DDS degree from Columbia University, her certificate in pediatric dentistry from Columbia University, and an orthodontic certificate from Columbia University. She is a true daughter of Columbia University. She's an all-time friend, active and effective president of the Association of Dental Alumni, and so true to the tradition that she wrote her remarks on the back of an envelope like Abe Lincoln. Very nice. It's a pleasure to introduce Dr. Margot Jaffe.
It is my pleasure today to speak to you on behalf of the Columbia University College of Dental Medicine's Alumni Association. I want to congratulate the entire class of 2010 and your thrilled and supportive families. You represent the best and brightest dental graduates in the United States, and your accomplishments should fill you with pride and exhilaration. Although your formal graduate education is complete, the majority of you are pursuing postgraduate residencies and specialty training programs. This is consistent with the long-standing tradition of our students seeking additional knowledge and expertise. In addition to the rigorous didactic education that you have mastered, we, the faculty, have imparted in you a firm value system with ethical tenets that will remain a core foundation to build upon. Our goal of creating competent, confident, and compassionate young clinicians has been realized. We, the alumni, are your colleagues and your advocates. Use us as a resource. The association serves as a bridge between dental school and your future professional endeavors. We hope that we have fostered a sense of loyalty to the Columbia family and count on your future participation. Stay in touch. Attend our alumni events and CE courses. Volunteer, mentor, teach, and when you are able, contribute to the institution that prepared you well for a promising professional career. Good luck to all of you.
I didn't know you guys were that good. Our next speaker is young, talented, articulate, reasonable, and responsible. Unusual in a student. He has represented his class with dignity, dedication, never adversarial, always cooperative and mature. His future is bright, and there is no doubt that he will be a credit to Columbia University and the profession. He will remain at the College of Dental Medicine in the orthodontics program. We have to keep an eye on him. He is quite a catch, believe me. Jeremy Zuniga, president of the senior class.
Getting off the subway this morning, I stepped in a huge wad of gum. I knew it was going to be a good day. Dean Goldman, Dean Lampster, fellow faculty members, distinguished guests, friends, family members, and the class of 2010. The day we have long been looking forward to has finally arrived. Today, surrounded by those who have helped us through these 4 years, and with memories of those we have lost along the way, we step forward into the world as responsible, caring, and compassionate professionals. The elite academic education we received since arriving in 2006 will prepare us to be leaders in our profession and our communities. At Columbia University College of Dental Medicine, we are one of a small group of dental schools that combine both the medical and dental curriculum into an intense 2-year period. For those of you who got off the subway this morning on Broadway and passed the library just across the street and entered the Armory in Fort Washington, you've pretty much figured out where our first 2 years were spent. At that time, we did not venture further than this 2-block radius, sad as that may be. If we were not studying for an exam or practicing for an optic practical, we were making a mess in the wet lab trying to pour up our complete dental final impressions. There was a multitude of feelings at that time. Yes, we were learning a tremendous amount and had the opportunity to learn from so many great, talented, and experienced faculty members from both the medical and dental school. But it was a grueling and taxing time. There was little time for friends outside of your dental classmates, and relationships were just as hard to manage. After spending 40 hours a week with your classmates, they quickly became your 80 closest friends. Yes, at times we felt like we were back in high school, with a gossip of who was dating whom, and the competition to get the attention of the professors, but from that time together, strong friendships developed. I had previously heard that only friends that a dentist has are, well, other dentists. And after spending the first 2 years here, I can see how this happens. We had little time to venture out beyond Washington Heights, but from this we developed friendships with an incredibly talented group of people and friendships that will last a lifetime. We learned an extraordinary amount of information in our first 2 years here. Even though some of our information might have been forgotten while studying for that next exam or practicing for that next practical, waxing up that final denture, the few things I will never forget are the good times. Remember how our entire class came together for the orientation, talent, and auction fundraiser? How can you forget Lizneda and Armando's passionate salsa dance, or Jen Reyes' serenade to not only one, but two of our fellow classmates? Yes, then there was the surprise choreographed dance with Jeff, Z, and myself, and thanks to YouTube, we will always have these memories. Then there was the late Dr. Michael Yuan, whose spunk and pizzazz for life and for learning touched the lives of so many within our class and here at Columbia. Dr. Yuan was incredibly generous as well. As part of the orientation fundraiser, he volunteered to cook for 12 students a 3-course meal, complete with servers and menus. On top of this, he did it twice, and mind you, this was all in his 1-bedroom New York City apartment. Dr. Yuan, I know you're with us in spirit today, and on behalf of the class of 2010, we'd like to say thank you for all you have done. I, for one, could not be more proud to be following in your footsteps next year. Concluding our second year, our close-knit, hard-working class's world was comprised of lecture halls, libraries, the preclinical lab, and the occasional Starbucks along the way. Then something happened. As we completed pathophysiology and the medical curriculum, the cage of Washington Heights was unlocked, and we got to venture out. Wow, did our worlds change. Starting in the summer of third year, we began our oral surgery clerkships at hospitals throughout the 5 boroughs and New Jersey. And with that came our first patient experiences. My mannequin head from the first 2 years, whom I named Pedro, now spit, talked, complained, and had an unusually large, annoying tongue. To further supplement our clinical experiences, Columbia initiated a newly organized program called the Global Health Externship, which helped fund Columbia students partaking in dental health programs around the world. These externships served underprivileged populations in places like the Dominican Republic, Cambodia, the Philippines, Jamaica, Guatemala, and even as far as Western Virginia. Of the 76 members of the graduating class, 75% participated in these externships, and many participated in more than one. I was fortunate enough to participate in the Somos Amigos trip to the Dominican last June, and came back humbled and grateful. In the rural mountains, 2 hours outside of Santiago, and 30 miles from the Haitian border, this organization has successfully established a full medical and dental clinic that is fully intertwined and embraced by the surrounding community. From day one, my 10 fellow classmates, 3 Columbia dental residents, Dr. Furon, and members of the Somos Amigos dove headfirst for 3.5 exhausting but satisfying days. From these global health externships, not only did our clinical skills start to improve, but we gained more confidence, and we started to get the idea of what being a practitioner is all about. It is not only just about treating patients, like my mannequin Pedro, it's It's about compassion, communication, and the skills to not only diagnose, but to deliver treatment in a timely fashion. We started here at Columbia Dental in August of 2006 with our goal to become dentists. And after 4 years, we are coming away with so much more than a dental degree. After 4 years of learning, traveling around the world volunteering, and treating patients, today we leave the sheltered 2-block radius of the Heights. To the class of 2010, we did it! And as Armando so greatly put it in his speech in the Dominican, we did it together. We should take comfort and be proud that we leave Columbia with an elite education and training, along with friendships with some of the most talented, skilled, and compassionate dentists who we are lucky to call our professors and our classmates. Congratulations to the Columbia Dental Class of 2010, and thank you for an amazing 4 years together.
Thank you, Jeremy. Our guest speaker this morning is Dr. Frank Brightwell. Dr. Brightwell received his BA degree from Georgetown University and his MS from Loyola in Baltimore. He's the founder and director of Somos Amigos Medical Missions. What began 20 years ago as a 6-week trip for a group of high school students has grown into a medical mission serving the community of El Naranjito in the Dominican Republic. Each medical mission consists of 6 physicians, 6 dentists, and a cadre of 40 or more volunteers who in less than 5 days service close to 1,000 patients in this remote, economically poor, and underdeveloped region. It is my great honor to introduce Frank Brightwell.
Well, it's official. I've been introduced as doctor now. Dean Lampster, I was kind of hoping that an honorary degree would be a part of this deal. And if not, I've got 9 patients lined up for Thursday I'm going to have to reschedule. Maybe I really should apologize because I think maybe my only qualification for being here today with you is that dutifully for most of my adult life, I have flossed every day. And by the way, now that I'm here with you today and a part of this circle, can I finally find out the secret? Where do you go when you leave the room just for a moment? Well, indeed, the bar's been set high for today. I listened once to a commencement address by Maya Angelou when she said, "I learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." And so for a brief moment to the graduates, I'd ask you to take in this whole scene and think of how you feel. My hope is that on this incredible day, you feel giddy with the realization of all that you've accomplished and for everything that lies ahead. And maybe you need to feel a pinch too. This is real. This is it. This is your day. That's right, Paul, pinch. This is your day. I'll soon be an afterthought, an asterisk on your special day. And indeed, it's such an honor and a privilege for me to be here with you to share a few minutes of your joy. And so if you'll indulge me, I would like to tell you a few stories. For most of my life, I've been involved in secondary education, working with lots of young people. If I talk about someone named Hermie, will you all know who I'm talking about? To this day, a plastic Hermie figure sits on my desk, and next to him, some small instruments and a large plastic tooth. You see, Hermie was one of the elves on that holiday classic, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And see if you remember this exchange. Again, if you'll indulge me. And okay, admittedly, it's not quite from the pages of Farrar's A Treatise on the Irregularities of the Teeth and Their Corrections, but I hope it makes a point. The scene is in the elf workshop, and the head elf and Hermie are talking, and the head elf says to Hermie, "Why weren't you at elf practice?" Hermie says, I was just fixing these dolls' teeth. Just fixing. Now listen, we have dolls that cry, talk, walk, blink, and run a temperature. We don't need any chewing dolls. And Hermie says, but I just thought I'd find a way to fit in. You'll never fit in. Now you come back to elf practice, learn how to wiggle your ears, chuckle warmly, go hee hee and ho ho, and important stuff like that. A dentist? Good grief. And he leaves and he slams the door. I've always used that story when I'm working with young people who have a dream, but whose dreams don't always match those of others in their life. In my case, I've never been one to do something just because it's what people have expected. To be honest, I really hate following the rules. And so if I can offer you some tidbits of wisdom today, the first would be, don't follow the rules. Listen to your heart, trust your gut, and follow your dreams. Make your own rules. I know it sounds very cliche, but trust me, you're the only person who gives yourself the permission to do that. And you have to start today. I guess the best example of my following my dreams is ultimately what leads me to being here with you today. You heard a little bit of it. About 20 years ago, I was working at a school outside of the in the DC area, and a colleague and I started this summer service program for high school students. We would build roads and schools and water systems with the students. And after a few years of prodding, I finally talked my own physician and my own dentist into joining us for a few days. That was 13 years ago now. And today, Somos Amigos Medical Missions has grown to be the primary care for about 3,000 people who live in the rural area we serve. And what happens on that mountainside in the Dominican Republic truly is amazing. We have 3 buildings that are now our permanent facility, impressive diagnostic capabilities, a pharmacy that rivals a Duane Reade, and we're literally saving lives, and we're certainly helping hundreds of people with chronic illnesses and other conditions live healthier and more comfortable lives. But you know, it's really our dental care that perhaps sets us apart most from other organizations. We typically have several general dentists in our group. We do root canals, we do oral surgery, we even make dentures right on site. A couple years ago, Armando heard of Somos Amigos through a high school classmate and gave me a call. He said he was trying to find ways to help his Columbia classmates and him find opportunities to do service work in other countries. We chatted a couple times by phone, and the next thing you know, I was here with some of my colleagues meeting with Dean Lamster, Dean Martin, and some others, and a relationship was born. And today, for a week a year, Columbia faculty, residents, students staff our dental clinic. I just want to thank Armando. You're a remarkable person in many ways, Armando, and I want to thank you for your vision and your determination and your commitment. A few stories, if I can, about our clinic, and inevitably some of them involve the language barrier between our professionals and the patients we're serving. One of our dentists is named Mike Kaminsky. Now, Mike is a big guy. He's very earnest, he's very serious, he's very pious, but he has a huge heart. Before we had our nice facilities, we operated our clinic out of the chapel in the community. And we were there for years before we eventually moved on to the school. And for 3 years or 4 years, Mike was it. He was our only dentist. And at least for a couple of those years, we had no electricity and no running water. Mike's patients would sit either in a tip-back rocking chair that was propped up with cement blocks or on a lawn chair on the altar of the chapel. And all he could do in those first couple of years was pull teeth. The first word he learned in Spanish was bien, and that was the only word he knew for a while. On his first trip, bloodied and sweaty from hours of extracting teeth under the crucifix, he would repeatedly say, bien, 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 as he yanked out teeth from the horrified patients who were in intense pain, and he would toss the teeth into his extraction bucket. When he came back the second year, Mike had a much broader Spanish vocabulary that included 2 new words, abre and cierra, open and close. Well, maybe you see where this is going. While attempting to use his newly learned words on one of his patients, he unfortunately mixed them up. And so what began as a small command to open your mouth, abre, became cierra, And that became louder and louder bellows of Sierra, Sierra, as the patient, poor patient, was biting down on Mike's fingers harder and harder, as hard as he could, and clenching the arms of the chair as if for dear life. The harder the patient bit, the louder Mike would say, Sierra, Sierra. It's another story involving Margaret Murphy. She was our first hygienist and has been with us many times. She reminds me of a leprechaun. Margaret has 5 kids, and she's one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet. And it must have been her second trip, as her next patient was waiting to take the seat. With her very basic understanding of Spanish, she thought she overheard the patient saying that he remembered Margaret from the previous year. And she said something in her broken Spanish that since he was back again, well, it must have been a good experience for him. Well, he interpreted that as her flirting with him. And so he turned to Margaret and said in his Spanish, look, I already have 3 girlfriends and a wife, no more. And Margaret turned probably 5 shades of red, and the patient could only continue to say over the hum of the Cavitron, wow, wow. And then the last story, there was a man in his late 70s who came to our clinic. He had no teeth. And in a way that remains miraculous and mysterious to me to this day, our folks made him dentures. You wouldn't believe the smile on his face when he saw himself in the mirror for the first time, now with teeth after so many years. And with a twinkle in his eye, he looked at us, he winked a bit, and he let us know this Tigre is back in business. It's actually when I see some of our younger adult patients, some of whom have never been to a dentist before, when I appreciate even more the words from Don Quixote, every tooth in a person's head is more valuable than a diamond. Do you all know that there's a museum of dental art in Paris? It's named after Pierre Fauchard, someone I've learned laid a foundation for much of modern dentistry. But that concept of dentistry as an art really resonates with me. When I'm in our clinic and I'm walking around observing the work that our dentists do, I'm in awe. I've gained such an appreciation for the art, indeed, for your ability to see what I can't see. And I appreciate your striving for perfection, always in the interest of the patient. I witnessed extraordinary measures to alleviate pain and to give someone their smile back. Countless hours hunched over a patient's mouth. Incredible patience. Some of our patients, especially the Haitians, come to us after never having been to a dentist before. They can spend hours with us, 4, 6, 8 hours, as our dentists do all they can because they know this might be the only opportunity they have to work with this person. You have such a profound opportunity to change a person's life, giving someone the ability and the confidence to smile again without pain, without discomfort. It's such a beautiful thought. And that's what you do. And you do it with compassion and empathy. If there's one lesson in hearing about the clinic in the Dominican Republic, it would be this, that one person, you and the person sitting next to you and the next, one person really can make a difference. Our clinic started as an idea, a silly idea maybe, and now 3,000 people rely on us for their medical and their dental care. And we're all that they have, literally. In the region, to put it in perspective, in the region that we serve, which includes dozens of communities and towns, there's one public hospital. The one public hospital has one dentist who comes for 1 day every month. One dentist, 1 day a month, period. We didn't get to where we are overnight, though, with our digital x-rays, our autoclaves, our high-speed handpieces with whatever you call that optical stuff inside. It's taken many people many years to get to where we are, and it hasn't been easy. What it's taken is our staying true to our mission, to our goal, and to our dream. People still say to us, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that. But remember, I make my own rules. Granted, financially, we live trip to trip. We really give a new definition to grassroots, but we're making a difference one patient at a time. And I've been witness to the incredible goodness of people, simple people who naively believe they can change the world. There are people who believe in this thought, and I wish I knew to whom I could attribute it. To the world, you may be just one person, but to one person, you may be the world. I can't tell you about my work in the Dominican Republic without mentioning my recent trip to Haiti. And my time there was so overwhelming, it was so emotional, so profound, that I hope you won't mind if I read you a little bit from a blog that I wrote while I was there. It's from day 5 in Jacmel, which is a city leveled by the earthquake. With the help of a hired motorcycle, we were determined to dig deeper into the remains of Jacmel. A boy wearing an Obama t-shirt and carrying a bucket of water caught our eyes and suggested with his eyes that we follow him down a street completely impassable to cars because of the piles of debris. We entered a small courtyard where there obviously stood several houses before the earthquake. We met the boy's mother, Daphne, and his 3 younger siblings. In the courtyard, there were other women and many young children, but we didn't see any men. Oblivious to any sense of modesty, Daphne lifted her tattered shirt several times to wipe away the tears as she recalled the earthquake. Her husband and the father of her 4 children died in a spot near where we sat, a spot marked only by fallen blocks and twisted rebar. And the only clothes Daphne and her children now owned were what they were wearing. Her son's Obama shirt offered imaginary passage to a world that they would never know. As she wept and recounted the 20 seconds that would change her world, the other women and children gathered around. Some of the adolescents turned their heads and feigned smiles in embarrassment, and the other women clutched their younger children as if to reassure. They too had relived that day many times. Apart from the sobbing, the silence was painfully loud. In this small courtyard, 27 people died. Husbands and fathers, mothers and wives, and children. And one could only imagine the horrific sounds that broke the silence on that day. Surely not all 27 died instantly, although perhaps that would have been a blessing. The screams of agony and helplessness, the cries of loss and surrender echoed around us. Daphne and her children and her neighbors still hear those sounds as if January 12th were yesterday. And why do I bring this up? Of course, because Daphne deserves to be remembered and because I promised her that I would. But I tell you her story not to make you feel bad or guilty. To make you feel a little bit uncomfortable? Yes, I think that's it. To remind you how fortunate you are and that there's a bigger world out there, that there are people suffering, and that for some people the concept of going to a dentist would be the least of their worries. Your obligation and my request of you is simply this: to remember Daphne and all the other ones like her out there in Haiti and in the Dominican Republic and in New York City and in your homes, in your hometowns. Even in your success, always live your life with a conscience. Jan de Hartog, a Dutch playwright and social critic, said, "Don't commit the error common among young people by assuming that if you can't save the whole of mankind, you've failed." Because you see, none of us on our own is going to save the world. But what we can do is connect with others in meaningful ways, reaching out to them in solidarity and in peace, with whatever gifts we have, whether that's dentistry or something far more modest. But if each of us feels that we can't make a difference, then we might as well just pack up now and go home. In addition to encouraging you to live your lives with a conscience, a few other life lessons, if you'll indulge me a couple moments longer. Go about your life, and especially your work, with a sense of humility. Make yourself vulnerable sometimes so that you can relish in its serenity. Be a person of integrity. Shortcuts are okay when you have to make the movie on time, but not when you're doing the business of life. Appreciate simplicity and allow yourself the liberation of experiencing it sometimes. Nurture the compassion that rests in your soul. Always remember that there is a person attached to that tooth that you're working on. Don't take yourself too seriously. Laugh. Okay, maybe not at all of Jeremy's jokes, but laugh sometimes. And smile. And finally, love. Know that life's journey is only half complete if you don't share yourself with someone else. You're so capable, so bright, so full of life and hope and gifts that you can't even see in yourselves, and we're all so proud of you. Share all of that with others, with your patients and the other people who are going to come into your lives, especially others to whom life has not been as kind. If I can leave you with just one more Hermie reference, at the end of that half-hour program, the misfit toys have all been rescued. Rudolph is leading the sleigh, the abominable snowman has been tamed, and everyone goes happily on their way. And Rudolph says to Hermie, "Goodbye, Hermie. Whatever a dentist is, I hope someday you'll be the greatest." And so that's my final wish to you. I hope that someday you'll be the greatest. You're certainly well on your way. Congratulations.
Thank you. Dr. Letty Moss-Salentine, our Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. She keeps me in line. She tells me what I have to do and when I have to do it, and I'm thankful to her for keeping me on that straight and narrow path. Dr. Letty Moss-Salentine will present the Zegarelli Teaching Award.
I want to join in extending my congratulations to all the graduates, to the parents, relatives, and friends, and indeed also to my colleagues in the faculty, because you did it, but you did it with our help. So each year it is my pleasant duty to recognize a member of the faculty for his or her excellent contributions to the curriculum of the college. The award is named after a former dean of the school, Dr. Edward Zegarelli. And the selection is made by a committee with representation from alumni, faculty, students, the curriculum committee, and the deans of academic and student and alumni affairs. This year's recipient of the Edward Zegarelli Award for Excellence in Teaching is Dr. Joseph McManus. Come in, stay where you are. Dr. McManus, in addition to being a snappy dresser, is truly a lifelong learner, a perpetual student. In addition to his dental degree, which he earned many years ago, he has earned 4 additional master's degrees, one as recently as last year. Dr. McManus is a conscientious teacher with a great sense of humor. In addition, he is an ethical professional who serves as an outstanding role model for our students. Our selection for this award was made before we received the announcement that Dr. McManus is leaving us to assume a leadership position in the American Dental Association. In that position, I think he will miss teaching, and we will miss him. Congratulations, Dr. McManus, and best wishes.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. McManus will be missed. And now we move to the reason that we're all here today, the presentation of the diplomas that you've all earned. I would ask Dr. Lamster, Dr. Salentine, Dr. Davis, and Dr. Myers to join me up here. As you know, the graduates will move across the platform. They'll stop here, have their hoods placed, then they'll proceed to Dr. Lamster, who will present their certificates. Dr. Salentine will present their pins, and then they will go off to the right. There are some of our students who have invited assorted relatives, friends, family to assist in the hooding. We would ask those people come up on the right and depart on the left. I will call their names as they come up. We're pleased to again announce a tradition that began last year. We will be presenting each student with a gold label pin with the dental school Acorn logo engraved on it. The idea for this gift was initiated by alumni Chris Bonacci, who felt that it's important for graduates to receive a significant and enduring memento of the College of Dental Medicine, which they can proudly wear at alumni functions and dental meetings for years to come. Dr. Salentai will distribute the pins. Let's begin. Dr. Samuel N. Addison. Dr. David P. Alfaro. Dr. Rajesh Amin. Dr. Lizneda Arjona, and she will be hooded by her mother, Dr. Yoni Kalojero. That's good. That's good enough. That's fine. Dr. Hugo Raziel Acerza. Dr. Michael Wagi Awadala. Dr. Mary L. Ballard. Dr. Simon Balin. Dr. Philip K. Brinton. Dr. Paul A. Cantelmi.
big guy.
Somebody's in Paul's seat there. Thank you. Dr. Erica Park Chang. Dr. Chang will be hooded by her dad, Dr. Chung Sik Chang. Where's the... Dr. Ray Cheng. Dr. Young Suk Cho. Dr. Hyun Sik Choi. Dr. Victor Chuang. Dr. Jenny Youngsung Chung. Dr. Gina Marie Cucciara. Dr. Cucciara will be hooded by Dr. Dinaz Irani. Dr. Nguyen C. Kung. Little bitty. Dr. Richard Pantig de la Rosa. Dr. Emily C. Dreisman will be hooded by a mom, Dr. Shelley Dreisman. Dr. Jacob Eisendorfer. Always a crowd pleaser. Nice, nice. You look nice, Jacob. Very nice. Dr. Jacqueline B. Fisher. Dr. Whitney Diane Florin. Dr. Florin will be hooded by her father, Dr. Jack Florin. Congratulations. Yes, you can. Dr. Ezra Friedman. Dr. Elena Gabriella Ferdwy Carr. Dr. Tamar F. Gruenbaum. Dr. Carlo E. Guevara. Dr. Joseph M. Haynes. Joseph will be hooded by his mother, Christine D. Haynes. There she is. Joseph. Amanda M. Hochstein, Dr. Amanda M. Hochstein, be hooded by her father, Dr. Jeffrey Hochstein, who is a member of the CDM faculty. You're now absolved of all responsibility, Jeffrey. Patricia Y. Hong. Patricia just reminded me that I forgot to call her doctor. So you go back to the seat, come up again, and we'll do it. Dr. Patricia Y. Dr. Aaron Huh. Dr. Raymond T. Jones. Dr. Elias Kamal Josephs. Dr. Josephs will be hooded by his brothers, Dr. Salim Josephs, graduated in 2006, and Dr. Philip Josephs, class of 2008. We expect a huge return on this investment, you understand, Doctor? Dr. Bum Kyu Kim. Congratulations. HC, Dr. Hyung Chan Kim. Good. Dr. Jun Hick Kim. Dr. Min Hick Kim. Nice, neat. Dr. Min Jin Kim. Dr. Mina Catherine Kim. Dr. Kim will be hooded by her father, Dr. Singh Bum Kim, graduate of the CDM class of 1984. Her uncle, Singuk Kim, is sitting out there in the audience somewhere. Dr. Eugene M. Coe. Who? What's his name? Dr. Coe will be hooded by his dad, Dr. Stephen Coe. You didn't tell me that. But that's all right. It's not easy. Hooding is hard. Dr. Flavio A. Qatar. Dr. Qatar will be hooded by his dad, Dr. Flavio Paola Qatar. Dr. Nicole Madison Lambert. Dr. Kiwan Lee. Dr. Lauren Nico Lee. Dr. Charlie T. Levy. Dr. Levy will be hooded by his dad, Dr. Erwin Levy, member of the CDM faculty. Where's Monica? Dr. Barry Chicha Lin. Yeah. Dr. Lin will be hooded by his sister, Dr. Sylvia Lin, class of 2007. Yes, 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 yes. Dr. Michael C. Lee. The reason for the delay was his name was listed as Monica, and I threw me. It doesn't look like Monica. Although in the dress, who knows? This one I got. Dr. Courtney R. Logan. Good. Dr. Jayu Ma. Dr. Miles A. Mason. Miles. Dr. Bansari K. Modi. Dr. Vin H. No. Dr. Jeffrey A. Nicolini. Dr. Mariel H. Nortick. Dr. Aisling Patricia O'Connor. Good show. Dr. Nancy Okeke. Dr. Jeannie Arlene Olivo. Dr. Lorelei A. Paris. Dr. Mark H. Pan. Dr. Jun Hyung Park. Tough group. Dr. Min J. Park. Dr. Sarah S. Park. Dr. Stevan Yogendra Patel. Dr. Armando Ratana. He and Carlo are going to be in Florida together. Lock up the children. Dr. Jennifer Noel Reyes. Dr. Barnelli Roy. Dr. Maxime Cerebro. Dr. Kimberly Beth Gross Soleimani. Dr. Scott Jason Solo. Scott will be hooded by his father, Dr. Stephen Solo. Dr. Wayne Emil Stevens. Wayne will be hooded by his father, Dr. Patrick Stevens. There he is. Training, it's all training. Dr. Ryan Turner. Ryan will be hooded by his dad, Dr. Lance Turner. Whoops. Ambulette is right outside. That's right, we're ready for anything. Dr. Virginia Turner. Dr. Z. Wang. He didn't, I don't know. Dr. Robert J. Weinstock. I'll wait for them to finish, Wang. They done? Okay. Dr. Xuang Zhu. It's like TMZ back there. Dr. Jeremy M. Zuniga. That's all, folks. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That wasn't so hard, was it? No. Thank you all for being here and showing support for the class of 2010. Please join us immediately after for a reception in the Hall of Fame area on the lobby level. Please return your gowns to the appropriate area. Please remain in your seats until the processional has left the arena. Please do not throw objects or shout epithets at us as we pass by. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch. Thank you, and good afternoon.